Bienvenidos! Welcome to the Learn Spanish con Salsa podcast, the show for Spanish learners that love music, travel, and culture. Close your grammar textbooks, shut down the language apps, and open your ears to how Spanish is spoken in the real world. Let us show you how to go from beginner to bilingual. Here is your host, certified language coach, Tamara Marie.
Hola, buen día. Welcome to episode 20 of the Learn Spanish con Salsa podcast. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that I recently released my free workshop, Beginner to Bilingual, the Fast Track to Spanish Fluency. For the first time, I'm revealing all of my strategies for rapid language learning. So if you're just getting started with Spanish, or if you've been learning for a while but you want to make progress faster, this workshop is for you. I'm going to show you all the tactics I've learned from years of trial and error and give you some strategies that you can implement right away. Now, the workshop will only be available for a limited time, so if you're interested in checking it out, go to learnspanishconsalsa.com/B2B. That's B, the number 2, and B, again, for beginner to bilingual. And you'll be able to sign up for the workshop. Again, that's learnspanishconsalsa.com/B2B. And it's completely free. I've broken it down into 3 short lessons, so it's a 3-part series because I know everyone's busy and it can be hard to find time to sit through a 40-minute workshop. So each lesson is no more than 15 minutes long. And in this episode, I'm actually going to let you hear an excerpt from part 1. Now, this isn't going to be the full lesson, so make sure if you want to participate in the full workshop, go to learnspanishconsalsa.com/B2B for beginner to bilingual, and you will definitely get all of the lessons that are available in the workshop. Okay, so here's part 1 of Beginner to Bilingual, the Fast Track to Spanish Fluency. That you start with a strategy from the beginning. Now, the goal of this workshop is simple: to help you easily figure out your next steps towards Spanish fluency. Plus, I'm going to show you how to identify your driving motivation so you will stay focused on your goals. The more you can focus and get clear on your next steps, the greater opportunity you'll have to enjoy the benefits of being bilingual. Now, before we dig in, I've got to warn you about something, and this is critically important. And not paying attention to this will virtually guarantee that you will stay stuck and not move forward. With so many resources and opinions about learning Spanish, you may wonder, why isn't everyone bilingual or even multilingual? You may even think that there's a special language learning gene that others were born with, but you somehow lack. The truth is, no one is talented at language learning from birth. But there are specific patterns of behavior and strategies that successful language learners have that make it look like they have some special skill or superpower. The good news is, anyone can learn these strategies and apply them consistently to get the same results. I'm sure you'll agree, trying to become fluent in Spanish isn't always as simple as people sometimes make it seem. It comes with its challenges. You've probably tried other ways to learn Spanish before. You've downloaded that popular app with that green owl and won numerous virtual trophies, but still couldn't manage to start a conversation in Spanish. You've Googled how to learn Spanish and got lost in a sea of conflicting and confusing information. You may have started and stopped and started and stopped again because you got bored, distracted, or life just happened. In this first lesson, I'm going to share the shortcut to fluency that I've developed after years of trial and error. This will help you get out of overwhelm and stagnation and get you making progress with your Spanish right away. Maybe you're just starting to learn Spanish, or maybe you've been learning for a while, but you just can't seem to understand the fast pace of spoken Spanish and still struggle with conjugating verbs in your head. Either way, what I'm about to share will help you find out exactly what you need to focus on to get fluent in Spanish. I started Spanish con Salsa because I saw so many people who wanted to speak Spanish fluently, but they were getting completely sidetracked. For example, I saw people struggling to understand complex grammar rules before they could even have a basic conversation in Spanish. Then I had coaching clients who could read and write Spanish pretty well, but would still get completely lost when talking to a native Spanish speaker. There are many more examples like this, but I knew that people needed clarity because in full transparency, that was my story too. Long before I received my language coaching certification, I was struggling to learn Spanish just like you. I grew up in the U.S. only speaking English, and I taught myself Spanish as an adult. I remember going to Panama armed with my high school Spanish and the embarrassment I felt when I couldn't even understand the basic questions at customs and immigration. So I came back home determined to speak Spanish fluently. At the time, I was pursuing my master's degree and working a full-time job, so I was really strapped for time. But I downloaded every app I could find. I went to the library and got every Spanish textbook, and I got lost in numerous online forums looking for answers to the crazy questions that would pop up in my head as I struggled to understand Spanish grammar. I was confused and demotivated, and quite frankly, not very consistent. But then I started taking dance classes, and I became obsessed with salsa music. I realized that I loved the rhythm, but I didn't know what the music was really about. I was driven to understand the meaning of the songs and connect with Spanish speakers, so I used the music as my motivation and my learning material. The first time I was mistaken for a native Spanish speaker, I knew I was onto something. I also connected with a community of other language learners and invested in coaching to help me stay accountable to meet my goals. Eventually, I started to share my process for learning Spanish with music with other learners, and that's how Spanish con Salsa was born. Once I got past the frustration and boredom of trying to learn Spanish in traditional ways and doing it all on my own, I really started to see massive growth. At this point, I've traveled throughout Latin America from Costa Rica to Colombia to Cuba, and I've been able to connect with people along the way because I can speak the language. I went from being confused and embarrassed when traveling to Panama to being able to secure a visa at the consulate in Argentina after taking an unexpected detour during my last trip to South America. But that's a story for another time. Now, everything I'm about to share with you is the exact plan I followed to get comfortable with speaking Spanish with native Spanish speakers. More importantly, this means that I'm able to connect with the music I love and with the people in my own community, and I've made friends all over the world. And that's what I want for you. I know you wouldn't be watching this if you didn't have a real desire to speak Spanish fluently. That's why I want to make things easy for you. So let's get started with the first step. The single most important step in mastering a new language is identifying what I call your driving motivation. Now, this isn't just your reasons for wanting to learn Spanish. This is a deep desire that drives you to really want to speak Spanish fluently. Sometimes we set goals because we think they sound good or they're what we're supposed to be doing. Or maybe we want to impress somebody by reaching that goal. But unfortunately, too often, this is not enough to help us reach the completion of our goals. This is because the reason that we're doing something is not sufficient enough to keep us going for the long haul. Let's take, for example, someone who wants to quit smoking. Let's call him Joe. Now, Joe wants to quit smoking because, well, it's New Year's. He figured he'd pick a New Year's resolution that will give him the opportunity to better himself. So when asked by one of his friends why he finally decided to quit smoking this year, his response is, "I want to stop smoking cigarettes because I want to be healthy." What do you think Joe's chances are of actually quitting smoking? I'd say slim to none. I mean, there's plenty of other healthy activities, exercising, eating vegetables, drinking water. And Joe has not identified a real reason that he wants to discontinue smoking. Now let's say this was Joe's response instead. "I want to stop smoking because my father died at age 53 from lung cancer and I want to see my daughter graduate from high school." Would you be more likely to believe he's going to quit smoking with this response versus the prior, "I just want to be healthy" reason? The second reason is much more compelling, much more clear. It invokes emotion. You can picture Joe mourning the loss of his father, a negative emotion, and then him being present, clapping and whistling loudly at his daughter's graduation, which is a positive emotion. These types of emotions and visualizations are powerful messages that help your brain guide you to achieving your goals. No matter who you are, Learning a language requires a fair amount of effort. This is why, if you're going to reach your goal of becoming fluent in Spanish, you need to identify a compelling reason that you want to learn Spanish. You need something that will excite you, so much so that you can't even sleep at night or you can't imagine not doing it. A reason that lights you up from the inside and motivates you to make progress even when you face setbacks. Now, I know that might sound a little over the top, but I guarantee you there will be days when you do not feel like learning. And on those days, if you don't have a driving motivation to learn Spanish that'll keep you going, you will almost certainly fail. At minimum, it'll take you twice as long to learn Spanish than someone with a clear, compelling reason to learn, a driving motivation. I hope you enjoyed that excerpt from part 1 of Beginner to Bilingual, the fast track to Spanish fluency. Now, in the rest of part 1, I do go through an exercise for how you can come up with your driving motivation, and I have a couple of other questions and exercises for you to really help you get focused and moving forward towards Spanish fluency. So again, if you want to sign up for the full workshop, go to learnspanishconsalsa.com/B2B, and it will only be available for the next few days. So make sure if you're interested that you sign up right away, learnspanishconsalsa.com/B2B. And I also have a place for comments, and I will be responding to the comments. So if you have any questions about anything that you hear in the first lesson or any of the other lessons in the workshop series, definitely post your comments on the page and let me know. I will definitely respond to all the comments that I can, and I definitely will read all the comments and get through because I really want to know what you guys think. I really do want your feedback. This is the first time I'm sharing this outside of the Spanish con Salsa membership community. So this is something I'm making available for free for a limited time. So I hope you take advantage of it. I will be there to support you and answer any questions that you might have. Okay, so that is it for this episode. I hope that you have heard something today that will take you one step closer from being a beginner to bilingual. Hasta la próxima. Adiós.
Thank you for listening to the Learn Spanish con Salsa podcast at learnspanishconsalsa.com.